We reviewed the AEW women's roster. We got your thoughts. There was one name that we forgot because she wasn't on their roster page. Mina Shirakawa.
Oh, good. Then I can send her along with Yuka Sakazaki.
All right.
I'm making this note. Because we are going to, I know you can get the clip on YouTube, folks, of the women's roster, but we are going to recap a lot of this when we get finished sorting things out and see who we got left.
Well, let's now get to the AEW men's roster. Of course, this is as listed on the AEW website under AEW roster.
So that means that it's almost official.
Almost.
And we're going to start and get through the first part. This is going to be a lengthy process, and we'll have some type of nervous breakdown if we try to do the whole thing. So we're gonna do this in a couple of segments.
Well, here are the champions, Jim. The AEW World Champion is Jon Moxley.
Let's see how quickly we can get him in the parking lot with his bag headed home. He is now fired.
The AEW World Tag Team Champions are the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Benjamin Shelton.
And let's put them right over here in the, yes, they are our talent roster and main event level talent at that.
The AEW International Champion is Kenny Omega.
You know, we said, and by the way, let's do the same premise that we talked about on the women's roster. We're not dealing with, we don't know what a lot of these people's attitudes are or whether they're, space cadets or brain surgeons.
Loaded on
and we're not loaded on kratom. We're not going to go on the booking that has been done to them. We are picking talent based on, if I had a wrestling company, would I want this guy working for me on the roster? And with Kenny, as much as I detest his personality, his wrestling style, the things that he's done in the past with the blow-up dolls and the sex toys and the variety of embarrassing things he's done in the way of wrestling, the audience still, for whatever reason, does somewhat like him. But looking at that and also looking at the fact that he's 40 years old with multiple surgeries and has already said his best years are behind him and he doesn't know how much longer he can do this, I'm going to kick him to the curb because he's too old and broken down and not because he's a miserable douchebag.
That's not what I expected. I thought you were going to keep him. You're going to say, you know what? He's in shape. He's still a star. He's still one of their draws.
No, because I don't want him right now. I want any of these people for what they can do for me over the next 2 to 3 to 5 years. And besides that, let's face it, we know where Kenny's head's at. He's like a lot of these other ones. And who was the dipshit lately that put his foot in his mouth about, old Osprey, talking about, AEW just blows WWE away in the wrestling, mate, all the aspects of the wrestling.
It's a hell of an accent there.
So I don't think you can, I think we've established it. You can't really learn people like Kenny how to participate in a real wrestling promotion. So yeah, he's a good athlete, but his wrestling sucks and he doesn't take any of it seriously, and he's old and he's broken down. So if I want a guy who does a lot of stupid shit athletically and has a goofy personality and is a markish in his demeanor, I'll take Osprey because he's 10 years younger and a better athlete, and he's not quite as douchebaggy as Kenny when he talks.
But don't you want someone who's established with that audience just so you can always beat them to try to get the next person over?
I think this audience you can be established with this audience if Hong Kong Phooey is establishing himself with this audience. It doesn't take any talent. We're talking about building a wrestling company, not a goddamn performance art troupe of high school drama class dropouts. So I wouldn't keep Kenny. I'd keep Osprey.
Well, we didn't get to Osprey yet, but let's keep going through this. The TNT champion is Adam Cole.
If I had the Adam Cole of 2015 instead of the Adam Cole of 2025, it makes me nervous watching Adam in the ring these days. I think he needs to. You know what? I'm going to put Adam in the middle because there's something we can find to do with him in a wrestling promotion.
Oh, stop it.
Something. No, I'm not talking about maybe wrestling, but something. I'm putting him in the middle.
Playing video games on YouTube, I think, would be what his benefit could be to the wrestling promotion. Jim, the AEW World Trios champions are the Ops: Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Shibata.
Okay, Samoa Joe is kept immediately. So is Hobbs. Sorry, Shapoopy. We'll see you later. And obviously, again, Joe he's got credibility. He can present himself as a main eventer. And he's, Hobbs could get there. We've been talking about it, maybe getting too late. This has been a while. But Shapoopy it's just for the fucking AEW marks that think that anybody from Japan is automatically supposed to be a good wrestler. It's ridiculous.
Jim, the AEW Continental Champion.
These are still the champions. We haven't even got to the roster yet.
We already killed half the champions. Don't worry about it. The AEW Continental Champion, Kazuchika Okada.
Oh, please. I'll tell you what. If AEW was my company and I immediately got that son of a bitch in the part of the deal, inherited his contract, I would immediately sue him for fraud and misrepresentation and try to claw back the money that he had been paid so far to be a professional wrestler, because with the effort he's put in, he would deserve that level of treatment. This is the most boring, disappointing, sloppy, lazy, fucking do-nothing motherfucker that's ever walked in the face of a goddamn wrestling ring. A
fashion icon.
Please let me put this in goddamn capitals. Fire Okada.
Well, let's now get to the main roster non-champions. Again, this is according to their website, because there are names here I heard were not under contract anymore, but they are here. But let's go through this. And others are in their updated gimmicks, so...
Yeah, if we make any mistakes, pardon us, ladies and gentlemen. We're only reading the roster page from the company's website.
Jim Aaron Solo.
I know, for whatever reason. That was a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Jim, from the team of Crew, Action Andretti.
Oh, Christ on a cracker. No, he looks... As a matter of fact, well, we'll get there, but are he and the top flight guys and 2 or 3 of these other fucking midgets, are they all from the same litter?
I don't think so. I think he's from one part of the country. They're from another part of the country.
They all wrestle the same. They talk the same. They dress the same. I can't tell one of them from the other one.
So you're not taking Action Andretti,
We're not, no. Jericho made him a superstar. He's free to be a free agent and go get the best deal.
What about Hangman Adam Page?
It's sad. Again, we're supposed to be just okay on talent, and would they be a boon to a company ignoring the previous booking? But we know his attitude sucks. Besides the fucking whole brouhaha with Punk, he's the guy that said, when they asked him on a public interview, said, well, do you ask the veterans for advice? No, I really don't take advice from anybody. So take my advice, Paige. You're fired.
What about Alex Abrahantes?
Is he still there?
See, he's one of the examples of someone who I thought may be gone. Or maybe he's there.
But no, because he wasn't even really a manager. He was entertaining with the Lucha Brothers, because God knows something about them had to be entertaining. But no, I mean, I don't really, as an announcer, didn't he announce?
That's how he started, remember? And that was the best stuff he ever did when they introduced him at first. He was the Spanish announcer. And then all of a sudden he started doing the Penta Says. And it worked at first. And then it kind of
didn't.
Yeah. What about Alex Reynolds from the Dark Order?
Oh, good Lord. Let's not do that either.
From the Spanish Announce Project, Angelico.
Oh, for fuck's sake. No, 1,000 times no. See, this is the problem. And I mean,
Yeah, they stole
you
the
can't
SAP's
tell me
gimmick.
there's,
Oh, no, go ahead. What's your problem?
well, but you can't tell me they're still paying this fucking guy. It's been 6 years.
I couldn't tell you.
This is all the guys they started with that were on indie shows that were their friends that they thought, oh, if only a big audience could see. And then the big audience saw and said, what the fuck? It's all indie guys. And there's nothing wrong with being an indie guy and wanting to live your dream of being a wrestler, but only on indie shows with indie crowds.
What about Cool Hand Luke Parker? Oh, excuse me, not Luke. His name's Angelo. Let me redo that. I don't know why I said Luke.
Well, that's his name, Cool Hand Luke.
That's what threw me off. That's what threw me off.
He partners with Daddy Mac Daddy.
Well, his name is Angelo Parker, Cool Hand.
Well, let's not do Angelo either, because again, it's just nondescript look, nondescript. We don't know.
What about Anthony Bowens?
Where is he gone?
Well, they did the big turn with him and Max Caster, the big breakup.
And then he beat Caster in 30 seconds, and we've never seen either one of them again.
I guess that means he's on Collision.
I remember Bowens being a pretty good fucking athlete, wasn't he? And he could work. Let's say Bowens for right now.
You know, there's two big benefits. He's a good athlete. He's gotten himself over. I guess that's two right there. But also, he's never going to be a problem in the back. And there's something to be said for that. Someone who's going to get along with everyone. So
we've kept Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Samoa Joe, Hobbs, and Bowens.
Oh, you're a racist. There's not enough white guys. Let's go now, Jim, to a man who is in both Shane Taylor.
There isn't a white guy yet, come to think of it.
A man in Shane Taylor Promotions. He's the governor, Anthony Ogogo.
Oh, and he's gone.
The governor. It's my favorite.
The governor.
Nickname.
The governor. Maybe you know what? They need to make him the ambassador to West Faversham so he can open up a pipeline to OVW.
Jim, what about AR Fox?
What about him?
Keep him?
You know, he's an athletic son of a bitch. And if you could produce him, let's keep him over there for the undercard.
See, I like him because he seems like he's like a friendly street dancer, just working hard to like feed his younger sister or something. Like, you know, there's something relatable about him. And he seems nice, except when he helped kidnap Nick Wayne or whatever he did back in the day.
I was about to say, yeah, he helped with some kind of...
He had a hard time. Look, he's trying to make money to feed his family.
Or something.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
All right, well, where is it? We still need white guys over here.
The next one here, I thought this was Ricochet. This is not Ricochet. Arya Davari from Premier Athletes.
Okay, that's Sean Davari's brother, and I don't know him as well as I know Sean. I've always was a big fan of Sean's. I don't remember honestly seeing anything of what Arya could do. So I don't know what to say there.
Arya working there? I haven't seen him on TV.
Are you working there? Let's put Arya in the middle.
In the middle, based on what? We haven't even seen him.
Based on I feel bad for him because he's the brother of somebody I like, and I don't remember actually what the fuck he's ever done. At least here in this particular situation.
Jim, from the Bang Bang Gang, what about Austin Gunn?
Where are the Guns?
They had that thing they did with the Hurt Syndicate, and then they were just gone again.
Well, we want the Gun boys. We want Austin. We want Colton is who we want. Colton. We want Austin and Colton Gunn. Colton is...
All right, well...
We want the Guns. They work their asses off. They're athletic. They were getting a little over the top trying to stand out in a goddamn, circus parade, but they've got all kinds of potential.
What about the Ring of Honor World Champion, Bandito?
I mean, he's popular. Again, can you produce this guy? I don't know. Let's save him. We'll put him down there.
What about the Redwood? Big Bill.
You know, again, we said we weren't going to talk about previous booking. I would take Big Bill. Something can be done with Big Bill. Don't let him speak for very long. Change his name. Give him a partner that can talk, or a manager that can talk, or something, and produce his ass to where he doesn't do anything stupid to be a 7-foot giant. And there might be something there.
You really have to see some of the photos on this page. Jim, what about Daddy Ass Billy Gunn?
Billy to me is in the back producing, training, being entertaining. Billy's not on cap. Billy overshadowed what was their names? Castor and Bowens, the Acclaimed. It became all about Billy, and then the thing with the kids. I think Billy is a valuable asset backstage, and to tell guys blatantly to their face maybe what to fucking do, but I wouldn't put him on television right now.
Jim, from the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan.
Okay. I mean, all I look at when I see the fake Samoans is fake Samoans, bloodline ripoffs. I've seen these guys, and I don't get it.
Jim, do you get Brandon Cutler?
Yes, but fortunately, penicillin will cure it.
Are you keeping Brandon Cutler?
Yes, I'm keeping him in custody until we can have the police come and pick him up for impersonating a wrestler. No, he's gone. He's way past gone. He's in the archives. He's vapor. He's history. He's legend.
What about, and this person's injured right now, but what about Brian Cage from the Don Callis family?
I think he's an idiot. I don't think that you could tell him how to take advantage of the look that and the athletic ability that he's got. He's a fucking beast who has a better body than Lex Luger, and he wants to do backflips and get his shit in. I don't think he's got the high gear to kick into to be a real effective, aggressive fucking heel. But I don't think you can get any sympathy on him as a babyface. I think he's a guy with a great body that could have made $1 million if he didn't just concentrate on doing fucking moves. So I'd backflip him on out through the parking lot.
Jim, from the Hounds of Hell, Brody King.
Let's keep him. Because he's big and tattooed up, and I've said before, he looks kind of like he would have been great in territories. He looks kind of like an indie level heel, but he would have been a top heel in a group in one of the smaller mid-sized territories. But let's see if we can do something with him. Of course, again, he's probably one of these indie-minded clowns, but if you could produce him, there could be something there.
Again, he's on the list here. I don't know how you would consider him. Bryan Danielson.
Before I would have said the same thing I just said about Billy. Even though he's retired from wrestling, I would have him in the back to help guys, train guys, whatever. He's not as entertaining as Billy Gunn, just to sit around and talk to. But I think he's goddamn lost his fucking mind with this indie bullshit, along with the Buckaroos and all the people of that ilk. And I think he really thinks this shit that he did last few years was good, as opposed to when he was really one of the best, if not the best wrestler in the world. I don't think I want people spreading his fucking thoughts around the locker room if I'm trying to do a real wrestling company. Just being candid and honest. Can you disagree with me based on what you've seen?
Well, if we're taking him as a wrestler out of the equation, or even just talking about him as an agent, a producer.
Yeah.
If you can't trust his instincts to think the right thing or do the right thing, what good is he in that role?
And, he's just going to encourage all of the children to live their dream rather than make me some fucking money. So, yeah, Brian, enjoy your retirement. We all love you.
Well, let's stay on the topic of Brian's with a Y. The bad apple, Brian Keith.
I mean, I've got nothing against him, but he's small and you can get anybody. Sorry, Brian. You were better on Family Affair.
Jim, also from the Hounds of Hell.
How about Sebastian Cabot? Should we send him along with him?
How about Buddy Matthews?
Buddy Matthews does not go on the roster, but the person that Buddy Matthews would be renamed as is one of my favorite prospects. Yes, I'd keep Buddy Matthews in a heartbeat.
Would that be one of your favorite projects if you were actually in charge of this project?
Yes, because there's something if nothing else, he looks like a fucking caveman. But with that body, with that explosive athletic ability, with the work that he's not just, yes, he's great at doing moves, and I say that derogatorily sometimes, but with that size and with that physique and with that speed and with that explosive athletic ability and doing the move where it's smooth and doesn't hurt himself or someone else, that's a big part of wrestling. I don't know if he can talk. If he can't talk, I'd make him the missing link junior where he doesn't have to fucking talk. But there's got to be some way that that guy can draw some money in the wrestling business. We just got to find out what it is.
Jim, what about, I don't know who this is.
Well, that's a strong recommendation already.
From the infantry, it looks like someone I used to work with named Ralph Fulgencio. From the infantry, and also from Shane Taylor Promotions, Charlie Bravo.
I mean, what do you do when you couldn't pick a guy out of a police lineup? I assume if he was that good, he would have been brought to our attention. So over and out, Charlie Bravo. This is the roster. They're paying these people?
Jim from FTR, Cash Wheeler.
Well, obviously, you keep Cash. Again, we're not talking about previous booking. And he's, along with Buddy and a couple of other guys, physically the most impressive fucking in-ring performer they've got. So,
well, you also have to be scared if you said, Cash, I'm not renewing you. Hey! Oh, God, he's got his gun out again. I got to run.
Come on now. No, don't do that. He was found not liable or innocent or not guilty or whatever he was found. He didn't get in trouble over it.
Jim, what about Chris Jericho?
Sorry, Chris. You know what? It's terrible to say that because obviously you wouldn't want him wrestling regularly because of his age, and less would be more there. You'd get a name and a legendary superstar to come in for 2 or 3 pay-per-views a year and some things like that, and you would get your value out of him. But he's, besides the fact that he's gone mental, you know, now it's just shameless self-promotion above all else. And the whole thing, we need younger, fresher guys. And he ain't young or fresh.
Jim, what about from the patriarchy, Christian Cage?
I mean, the same thing in that, you know, he's got a name, and at least he's not behaved publicly like he's going through a midlife crisis like Jericho. He can cut a heck of a promo. I haven't talked to him in a long time to know where his head's at on the children's wrestling or whether he's just, you know, taking Tony's money and not worrying about it. But he's another guy that I might want to, depending on where his head is at these days, have in the back to talk to guys. But, you know, even though he can certainly outwork fucking Brandon Cutler at half his age, but no, this is not the Over the Hill Gang. If you have somebody that age, it's going to be very, very special.
Again, this next person I think is retired and working as an agent, the Kentucky gentleman, Chuck Taylor.
All I can tell you about fucking Chuck Taylor is he wouldn't be working. He wouldn't even be allowed to panhandle anywhere around a wrestling promotion I had anything to do with.
What about from the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli?
I said I wasn't going to count previous booking against anybody. I'm keeping Claudio.
Oh,
There is something there. I'm sorry. There's something that could be. He's not going to be the main event. He's not going to be the champion. But on a roster of wrestling promotion, there's something could be done with a guy that talented. Better than what they've done.
better than what they've done, absolutely. But I don't think Claudio, I think that's a wasted roster spot, if you ask me. But what about this next one, Jim? Boom, boom. Colt Cabana.
Is the boom boom sound of when we fire him out of a cannon to make sure that he flies a long way away from us? No, it's ridiculous. He's not over the hill because he never got up the hill to begin with. He's can't get the comedy out of his fucking blood. He's a joke cosplaying wrestler. He was patient zero for joke cosplaying wrestlers. That's why all the Cucamonga kids and the Lollipop Guild looked up to him as a hero.
What about from the Bang Bang Gang, Colton Gunn?
Well, I've already got him up there with his brother. Yeah, we're definitely keeping him.
What about the Rated R superstar, Cope?
And they've actually got him under the seas, under the name Cope. This applies again. Christian, Jericho, Edge, major names all over 50. If I'm putting a roster together, I'm looking at the next 2 to 5 years, and they ain't going to be there. So with Edge again, I would have said, great for training or attitude or whatever, except he's the guy that was in the fucking match with the fucking spike sticking out of the bat with Dick the Boozer. So a lot of these guys have, you could almost tell who of the 50-year-old generation has gone crazy, because the ones that don't stay in the WWE system, and the ones that have gone crazy go over here and want to play with the children. But I don't see it. On the list that we have kept, besides for Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, I think the maximum age is around 40-ish. And tell me that Lashley and Benjamin look old, and I'll go along with you. But no, we need younger people that are serious professional wrestlers and not either past their prime superstars or cosplaying children that want to do indie shit.
What about very nice, very evil, Danhausen?
You can't mean to tell me that was the name you were up to right after I said no cosplaying children.
That's what comes after Cope, Danhausen.
Okay, we don't wish Danhausen any ill. I don't think he's ever actually wrestled there to begin with. So we don't want him to wrestle for us. But if he wants to guest on Svengoolie, then we can talk.
But enjoy your no-work contract, is what we're saying. You haven't seen him on TV in a year and a half, 2 years.
Nowhere, man, please listen.
Jim, what about Daniel Garcia?
Oh, for Christ's sake. Well, besides, he's got a lot of attributes. He's got that incredible physique. He's got that incredible promo ability. He's got that wonderful movie star look. Daniel Garcia. Is his Uncle Jerry still hiring for the band?
Let's not associate Daniel Garcia with the genius that was Jerry Garcia.
I thought you were going to say, let's not associate Daniel Garcia with the dead. And then I could say, well, I'd like to.
Jim, we'll get back to this in a second. But if I was a member of Jerry Garcia's family and I heard you say something about Daniel Garcia being a member of the family, let alone related to the great Jerry Garcia.
Are you about to threaten me with legal action?
I may want to sue.
Well, and I know exactly who and how and where you would make your phone call to.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. good show or two. Skills to the rest.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE for our good friend and yours, but not your opponent, Stephen P. New, the consigliere of the cult of Cornette, the man that has crusaded to clean up the jails in West Virginia. You know how he cleaned up the jails in West Virginia? He let all the people out and sent them to California. And now there's shit taking place out there too. And Stephen P. New can either get you out of jail or put the person that messed with you in jail, or at least make them pay a lot of money. He can do a variety of bad things to people, and he does it in the name of law, order, and justice. Stephen P. New, newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE is the number. Somebody's got to write us a jingle, a musical jingle. 877-50-STEVE. That's the number to call, and you won't believe how good he's going to be to you when he gets you all the money. And you can buy your own zoo. Got to work on those lyrics. Stephen P. New, newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE, the number to call for justice and money.
Well, if you put it that way, newlawoffice.com. But Jim, let's finish up. Let's return to the roster. We'll go a little bit longer. We are right now in D, but it looks like we move pretty quickly from there.
And that's another thing. That's another thing. They start with the first name instead of the last name. If you're looking for Garcia, he's not in the G's, he's in the D's.
Well, Jim, also in the D's, Dante Martin of Top Flight.
I'm going to need a second page of paper for all these firings. Okay, Dante Martin, Dante work here no more.
Well, hold on now 1 second. You're talking about the future and Top Flight, and his brother's right here too, Darius Martin. They are a younger tag team who does spectacular stuff. You don't think there's something you could do with them?
They're a younger tag team who does spectacularly sloppy stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, both of them have been seriously injured over the past few years. And until they can, you know who shows me something is old Kyle Felcher. From the time that he showed up, a year ago on TV until now, he's put on 25, 30 pounds. He's got to be on the sauce. And I admire his dedication, but he's changed his physique. He's growing up. He's getting bigger. He's polishing himself. These two mopes look the same as they did 5 years ago. So, and they're indie guys doing indie matches. And yes, I think it was Dante is the amazing leaper, but they do the same thing now and look the same as they did 5 years ago. I don't see any progress. And I'm not talking about booking them different ways. I'm talking about getting a goddamn gym, come up with some kind of fucking gimmick, a look, something. They look like 7 other fucking people on the roster.
Well, Jim, the conqueror of Everest, Darby Allin.
We got to keep him. We might have to fucking put him on a contract where he's handcuffed after every match and taken and put in a box somewhere until the next night's show so he can't do anything stupid. But all things being equal, he has a weird, unique charisma, and there's some way you could get something out of that, but not if he in any way makes any of his own decisions about anything in his life. You'd have to feed him. You'd actually have to feed that guy. You could make a bunch of money with him, but you'd have to feed him. You'd have to show him the proper way to piss. I mean, you'd have to start from the ground up.
I want to talk about people looking the same. There's multiple people on the page I'm looking at right now with the same bald head look. From FTR, Dax Harwood.
Obviously, we're keeping Dax like we're keeping Cash because, again, they've been booked into insensibility, but they are the best performing tag team in the company. And you could do something with them that's been better than what's done, especially if they are produced and if Dax stays off Twitter.
From Los Facción Ingobernale.
The fuckers and the goobers?
Dralistico.
Draw a map for him to be able to get home.
Jim, both Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion and Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Champion, Dustin Rhodes.
You know what? You've got to keep Dustin, and he's the one guy over 50 that you have on the roster. And then you do a proper retirement angle, retirement tour, retirement whatever, where what they were going to do with Jeff, who we might have to keep him also, just so we can see how that turned out.
Oh, give me a break.
But just, I've got one more year and I want to go out. It was some level of my head held high and some heel is trying to fuck with him. Dustin's great with that type of thing. And then you transition him to training, working in the back, whatever the case.
I like all of his promos now or his confrontations. They all begin with him screeching the other person's name. Jim! Max! Like everyone's name, he just screeches it out.
Well, remember, it was his idea that he had. Remember when Goldust had Tourette's?
That was his idea?
But, well, it came from he was in the locker room constantly just acting like he had Tourette's. And it was so fucking people hurt when they finished laughing at him that they ended up doing it. It was one of those cases of ribbing yourself.
Jim, what about the Mad King, Eddie Kingston?
I think that time has passed. And remember, when he first got there, and even though he looks pretty slovenly for a professional athlete, there was the gimmick and the personality, and then they did the article, and he had a window there, and then he got hurt, and then his matches. I mean, you would have had to expose his wrestling on a limited basis to begin with if you were using him properly. And now I think he's just, I think time is gone. I'm sorry.
From the Dark Order, Evil Uno.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Let's, seriously. No, the fat fucking counter clerk with a goddamn mask on, literally cosplaying as a wrestler. You ought to see what this motherfucker looks like. I saw him at a Ring of Honor TV taping one time at the ECW arena. I thought the guy from the concession stand from the hot dog thing had come in the back and I was fixed to kick him out. He has to cover the face, but he hadn't figured out a way to cover the fucking body. No, he's another one of the goddamn children that. Remember, they were the Super Smash Brothers, and I had people this was in 2010 saying, well, they're the best tag team in the world. When we were featuring Mark and Jay Briscoe, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, there were fans saying, but the Super Smash Brothers are the best tag team in the world. This fat fuck and his goddamn weird friend.
Jim, what about...
That's what I had to put up with in Ring of Honor.
Jim, what about Griff Garrison?
What about him?
What do you want to do with him?
I want to fire him. I didn't know he still worked there.
Neither did I.
Again, tall, bad haircut, no body, no physique. We haven't seen him in years, and there wasn't nothing to look at anyway. He was the anchor around poor Brian Pillman Jr.'s neck till he escaped the asylum.
Jim, what about Hologram?
How far can we project him? Again, what the fuck? You've got Hologram, you've got Gravity, you've got fucking Space Capsule. I don't know, all of the various Mexican guys with these weird names that do the same shit. They're all minute. You can't tell one apart. There's not a Rey Mysterio in that crowd.
Gravity's not on the list, by the way.
Gravity, that's who I was thinking about. Oh, Gravity ain't on the list. Well, Gravity absconded, didn't he, to go back to Mexico? Or was that the other guy?
I really don't know.
Part of that new AAA thing. Now, that was Vikingo.
Yes, El Hijo del Vikingo.
Okay, well, Vikingo, Hologram, Gravity. You know, no.
Jim from the Ops, Hook.
we're going to keep that young man and we're going to put him in a different program. And we're going to start him out.
Yeah, that program's called Saved by the Bell.
Well, no,
what program we're going to put him in.
We're going to start him out as the young son of Taz, the announcer. And he's a fucking mixed martial arts student or judo specifically or whatever. And we're going to start him at the bottom like a preliminary wrestler, and we're going to work his way up. He's not going to eat no potato chips, but we're going to see if something's there when you concentrate on something serious for a period of time, instead of trying to make this honestly undersized, underaged young man some kind of cool fucking modern day James Dean with a sack of potato chips and a bad haircut. And we're going to see if a regular traditional wrestling push where they see him grow up in front of their eyes might get any interest. And if it doesn't, we're going to fire him.
Jim, what about from Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy?
What's his partner's name? Mark Quinn.
Mark Quinn.
Cassidy goes, Quinn stays. Quinn's the one that does, and that's another thing, because I don't need the Martin, because I think of the high jumpers, Mark Quinn was the highest jumper. And he was the one that was the most impressive with all of the flying shit. This was several years ago when they were using those guys. So I would eliminate all the half-ass flyers and concept. There's my Rey Mysterio, but he's not 5'2", Mark Quinn. He's the guy that will do the flying shit, so it will all get over, and he's the best one at it. We don't need 18 of them. We just need the one guy to do that particular thing.
But again, you talk about people who have had injury issues. We've had long gaps where Mark Quinn wasn't available, and I think it may have been due to injury. Does that scare you off that?
Well, if he gets hurt again, I'll fire him.
All right, Mr. Happy here. Jim from the Elite, the Scapegoat, Jack Perry.
And again, he's gone. Sorry. This is a guy, we don't hold the booking against him, but I do hold him against him. And where Jungle Boy was the cute mid-card baby face that could sell and come back and had some fire to him, that's a good spot for him. He wasn't ever going to be a main event guy, but because he's friends with the fucking Lilliputians, they try to make him some kind of badass heel, and he's not even put down by being set on fire with a flamethrower. He's got a bad attitude. He thinks his shit don't stink, and he's proven that he's not coachable. And he's also proven that he's an idiot because he ran his dick licker to CM Punk and got face locked. So you don't need that. He's not big enough nor in any way a great enough wrestling talent to compensate for having a fucking whiny little bitch in your locker room. So I don't think he's of much use to anybody. I hate to say that. If it was just he's the cute curly-haired guy that we can put in the middle as a Ricky Morton-style baby face, that'd be great. But
those days are gone.
Yeah, that ain't coming back, I don't think, with this guy.
And Jim, we will finish with Jay here. We have a few more to go, and then we will pick up next time with Kay. Speaking of Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal, obviously, we would keep. Not holding booking against him. He's, let's see, he's a better worker in the ring than half the guys already that I said I'd keep. And I'm firing twice as many as I'm keeping. Again, he's not going to be the champion of a major organization. He can be the Ring of Honor champion. He's not going to, I don't know if I call AEW a major organization, but he's not your world champion. But he's a quality talent that can be used in a variety of ways. One of the things that made him attractive in the Ring of Honor was not only that he had some mainstream television exposure, so the average person would see who he was or would know who he was, but also that he could work with the younger guys that were starting to be younger then, but try to slow them down a little bit and try to give them a little pace at the same time. So he's giving them some on the job training from being in the ring and on bigger shows and with bigger talent than those guys had been. And also, he was great with personal appearances. You could schedule him with a station-oriented appearance, and he wasn't going to show up fucked up or late or piss anybody off or insult anybody or leave early or whatever. So you want him, whether he's in a group or a tag team or whatever, you want him to mean enough on your cards, and guys like that, who I could... Maybe a Claudio as a heel, if it's that middle card area, but no, he's not going to fuck up.
But
right?
People aren't going to watch him.
But they're not. You're just on Claudio. You don't have a show where people are going to watch everybody on the show. Some of the people are on the show to facilitate the furtherance of the people that they are going to watch. And Jay has much more personality than Claudio, but AR Fox, you want some guys on the card, Bowens. They're never going to be the champion, but you want them on the card because they can perform with other people and you could do a little thing here and there. But Jay Lethal, I would use upper mid card at the very least and in some type of meaningful spot to be a gatekeeper of people who are ready to take the next step.
Again, I think it would have been...
Anyway.
I think years ago, maybe one thing, but right now, I can't see that, but you're the expert.
Who, with Jay or with Claudio?
Either of them. Right now in 2025.
You've got a guy that can always perform and you can count on and is still young because he started as a teenager. I'm not, again, saying
How young is he? Well, actually, I didn't even think about it. How old is Jay Lethal?
Jay Lethal is, hold on,
Let me see.
Years ago, he's 36, 37,
40 years old. 40.
40.
He's an old man. So now you keeping some old man on your roster?
I said 40s I'll keep. 50s, they got to go.
All right, Jim, what about the next one here? I don't want to get bogged down on Jay Lethal. From the Bang Bang Gang, Jay White.
Huh.
Surprised you're thinking about it. I didn't expect you to actually take time to think about it. Interesting.
Well, but here's the thing. If I'm keeping AR Fox, I'm going to keep Jay White. I won't let him do these interminable live interviews. He and Juice, that's still my favorite tag team match I've seen in the last 5 years with FTR. Jay White and Juice Robinson as a tag team had something. And if they fucked that up by making Juice a sidekick and try to push Jay White as a single. And Jay White's never going to be a star as a single in any way, shape, or form anywhere in this world. But Jay and Juice as a tag team, I would have bought and I would have pushed. So I'll keep him and see if we can do that again. And Juice can talk. And Jay can stand there and nod.
He's up ahead, so I guess I'll just include it now. Rock Hard Juice Robinson from the Bang Bang Gang.
Juice Robinson, baby. We're keeping him in a heartbeat. Because he's got a personality. It's different. He looks different. He's doing something different. He doesn't look like all the rest of these fucking children.
I'm sure the next one you and I will disagree on here in 2025. Jeff Jarrett.
I said jokingly earlier, hey, I wonder what happened with Jeff's fucking, last year at the business retirement march or whatever. I think I would have Jeff on the roster to work with guys at house shows. I don't think Jeff needs to be a TV personality or character at this juncture. I would have him working in the backstage area or in the area of live event promotions or in the area of finding fucking sponsors. Or have you ever seen a motherfucker that could find as many people with money as Jeff Jarrett? But if I was going to have him wrestle, I would have him work with guys, younger guys on the fucking house shows Just open a show for 15 minutes and teach them on the job.
You know what? I would keep Jeff Jarrett. If that's exactly how you would use him, that's exactly how I would keep him. So yeah, I got no problem.
There you go.
From the Dark Order, Jim, John Silver.
Oh, please. Long John needs to peg leg on out of here.
Jim, a former protege of yours, I guess you could say, Johnny TV. Formerly John Morrison from Eminem.
You know, again, how old is John now? Because he's in his mid 40s. You know, the booking has been ridiculous, and I don't think
He's my age. Wow, 45.
Yeah, I don't think John particularly cares, but he's just going through, life and wrestling and doing his thing. Whether he plays with the children or not, what the style is. He's a heck of an athlete and he's a nice guy. I think there's something that you could get. I'm going to write down John Morrison because that's his actual name. I think there's something you could get for a short time out of John. He stays in shape and he doesn't cause people trouble.
All right. Jim, a couple more here. From the Don
More Jays?
From the Don Callis family, Josh Alexander.
We got to keep him because he's new. He looks like he's tried to be serious. They have introduced him in a kind of a sad way. Nobody knows why, except that his ear might fall off, that he's wearing that fucking headgear, and they've beat him every time we've seen him. But he's trying. I would do something with this guy, see what the fuck happens. I'd keep him.
And finally, Jim, from the Premier Athletes, the Technical Beast, Josh Woods.
Wait, you know what? He was the guy that worked with Dan Severn when I managed Dan at WrestleCade in Winston-Salem, I think back about 8 years ago, when I said, okay, this will be my last match managing. And it has been. I honored that. He used to be an MMA guy and an amateur wrestler. And I think we saw him 3 times on AEW television about 3 or 4 years ago, didn't we?
I don't know. I think he was a Ring of Honor guy. But again, I don't know.
Well, but he was on AEW television whether it's after Tony had absorbed Ring of Honor, then it becomes all one and the same anyway. But I haven't seen him in so long. I don't know whether he's any good or not. So we might have to fire him and let him go away and learn a new hold. Wow. I just don't know.
Gonna fire the wrestler you managed against in your final match.
Well, he should have done a better job. That was fucking 8 years ago. He was like a rookie. I don't know. I mean, I hate to keep him if he's the shits now, but I don't know what to say.
Well, again, this is only the halfway point, or maybe not even that. Jesus Christ.
Hey, well, okay, now hold on here a second. I'm going to count because I think there's still 26 lines on a piece of notebook paper. So that's 50. We've gone through over 60 people, and we're just to the J's in the men. And that's not counting referees, announcers, and women. And I have kept so far 22, plus put a couple in the middle. I mean, at least I kept 22. Of course, we'll have to go through and give this another look-see once we get the list. But, keeping 30%, that's not bad so far for this crew.